Hi, I'm Tanya Hendrix. What happens to my children if something happens to me? That is a question I often get from parents, mostly the parents with younger children, because they're worried about who's going to raise them. Now, I will say I've had some older parents ask that question because they're worried about their children fighting after they pass away. But for parents of younger children, that question just sits heavy with them because they're concerned about who will raise their children. One, it's even difficult to think about. They won't be here for their children's milestones. But then the question is, who's going to do the job like I would want them to do? Like, who's going to raise them the way I would? And then, can we name someone other than our parents? Can we name someone and not make people upset? So number one, don't worry about making people upset. This is about what's best for your children. Number two, if you don't name a guardian, so the answer to the question of what happens to your children if something happens to you, if you don't designate a guardian, a judge makes a decision about what happens to your children, about who raises them. A judge who doesn't know you, doesn't know your family, doesn't know what's best or what you think and how you would want them raised. The judge is going to be basing a decision based on a limited amount of information. And so it's essential that you as the parent do a last will and testament where you designate a guardian or guardians. You always have a backup plan. So have guardians named for your children. So if something happens to you, there is a legal document where you have stated, this is who I want to raise my children. Because if you don't, you could be setting your children up for a stay in foster care for a little bit. Now, maybe not, but DHR will step in and have to figure out who can take the children in, who's a safe person or safe place for the children to go. And if you don't have family or relatives in the immediate area, and it's going to take them a long time to get to where you live, like I'm in Huntsville, so if it takes me a while to get to Huntsville, there may be a period of time that they're going to be with a social worker or in foster care. And I know that's not what you want. And I don't say that to try to scare you. I say that's the reality. Because if you don't have a legal document in place, the social workers, when the police they see your kids without a parent, they got to call in the social workers. And the social worker has to decide who's a safe placement for these kids. They can't just put the kids in anybody's home. They have to have a safe place to put them. And that may take a little while to figure out. So it's critical that you do an estate plan where you designate a guardian. You may think, well, I don't know. Do I have to name parents? Do I have to name the grandparents? No, you don't. Will it hurt their feelings? Maybe. But should you care? No, because this is what's best for your children. So as you're trying to decide who will be the best people to raise my children or best person to raise my children, you may not want to name the grandparents. You have to think through, how old is your child? And as your child ages, so does the person that you want to name as a guardian. So can that guardian keep up with every age and stage of your child? And so your parents, the grandparents, may not be able to. Also, are your children active? Are they involved in sports? Are they involved in other activities? Can this guardian keep up with them? Does the guardian live locally, or is it going to require the children to be uprooted and move somewhere else? I mean, one of the things you want to do is keep them as stable as possible. That may not be possible. You may have to go live somewhere else. But those are some things to think through. Also, what are your values? Do you value education, religion, sports? Is that guardian going to value those things and teach those things to your children and make sure they grow up with those same values? I've had clients who said, my parents, my family aren't the ones who's going to teach my children the religion I want them raised in. And so we're not naming our families. I've had some parents who said the mother should never be around my children. So those are some things that you have to think through and make a decision about who's going to be best for them. Because if you don't, and a judge has to make a decision, you're going to be putting your children in the middle of a custody battle between two sides, both well-meaning, but it could get very nasty and ugly. And your child will be right in the middle of that, being pulled in separate places and separate sides. And they're going to be the ones who lose out. because it may be that after a nasty custody battle, the losing side loses touch with your child too. So you have to do what's hard now and make that decision and move forward with an estate plan and move forward with that last will and testament. We never know when something may happen. We all hear, every day we hear about someone dying in a car accident. And you know when that person left their home that morning, they never imagined they wouldn't return. Don't let that be you and leaving your children in a bad situation. So reach out to an estate planning attorney. Get a will in place. Do it this week. This week, sit down and figure out who's going to be the guardian or guardians. And again, have a backup plan. Who's going to be the guardians of your children? And then reach out to me. If you're in Alabama, you can reach out to me, Tanya Hendrix at Huntsville Estate Planning Lawyers, and I'll be happy to help you. So reach out to me, Tanya at HuntsvilleEstatePlanningLawyers.com. This has been Tanya Hendrix, and I hope you have a wonderful day.